Thank you for joining us for this edition of Small Business Breakthroughs. This is presented by the Ohio Small Business Development Center at Columbus State Community College in partnership with the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center. We are excited to have everybody join us today. We have a interesting topic. We're going to be talking to Karen Wivell of APEX Accelerators about doing business with the government. Doing business with the government is a great opportunity. Obviously, the government buys a lot of stuff, and if you connect into there, it's a great opportunity. However, there are some things that you got to know to make it work right and be able to execute on the opportunities. So we are looking forward to hearing from Karen, and she's going to tell us all about how to do it and how to become wildly rich doing that. So we'll go ahead and do that. I do want to usually I'm at the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center. Today we had something come up last second. I needed to be in Urbana, Ohio, and my friends at CT Communications in Urbana, Ohio, covering Champaign County, are hosting me and allowing me to be here today. So I want to thank CT Communications for helping us out and allowing us to be at their headquarters and tap into their Wi-Fi services. And if you are in Champaign County, are looking to do some things there from a telephone or a Wi-Fi or internet, CT Communications is a great opportunity and a great company to work with. So the next thing I wanted to mention is we are in partnership with the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center, and wanted to thank them for all that they do. Talk a little bit about the deck. I don't believe there's anybody from the deck here today. Bruce, you see anyone?
Nope, we're all alone.
Oh, okay. Well, I know that they've got a lot of stuff going on and they're super busy. So the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center, this is in Dublin, Ohio. It is one of the largest entrepreneur centers in the country. And it is a great location if you are interested in starting a business or building a business. They have offices, they have walled offices, they have cubicles, they have hotspots. You can be virtual tenants. There's a variety of different options for you if you are looking to possibly maybe get out of your home office, get in there, or maybe you work for an organization and you've got you work for an organization that's outside of Columbus and you need some place to work and meet with clients and have an address. The Dublin Entrepreneurial Center is great. And the other thing about the deck that I always like, and I always like to mention, is that from an entrepreneur standpoint, it's really cool because there's a lot of entrepreneurs there. So being a business owner sometimes can be a lonely endeavor. You know, you're working on things yourself. Even if you have employees, there's often things that is only for you to be able to do. And having, this community and this network of entrepreneurs is really, really valuable. So it is a great location. It's been around for a number of years. We have a space there, and we love everything that we've been able to build and connections we've been able to make at the deck. So if you're interested in the deck, you can go to the website, which is DEC, DEC, in Dublin.com, and check it out. And definitely something that I would highly encourage you to look at. So let's go ahead. We're going to get started today. I am excited about this particular program because it's one of those where sometimes dealing with the government it makes sense. You say, boy, I think I should deal with the government. They're buying a lot of stuff. But really understanding how to go about that and how to do that sometimes can be a little tricky, and trying to figure it out sometimes is a challenge. Obviously, at Small Business Development Center, we work with a lot of folks that are thinking about that. But the cool thing is that here in Ohio, we have the APEX Accelerators, which is focused on helping individuals and businesses do business with the government. So Karen, we are excited to have you here today. Karen is I don't know your exact title. You have like a super long title. I
I
don't know if
know.
you're, I always say she's director in Central Ohio, but it's much bigger than Central Ohio. So she's got a great team that she's doing with.
Yes. Thank you. It's an honor to be here, Mike.
Yeah, great. So let's get started. And what I'd love to do is have you kind of introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your experience, your background, and then a little bit about APEX Accelerators, so we know kind of what it is, and then we can kind of jump into how we can use those services.
Sure. Yes, Karen Wivell. I'm an associate director for the Central Ohio region of the Ohio APEX Accelerator at Ohio University. And there's the whole mouthful.
There you go.
So Central Ohio District covers Franklin County, but all the way up to Seneca County to the north, down to Fayette County in the south. We've got about 21 or so counties that we cover. We have a team of 3. I'm the associate director. Part of my team also is Vicki Hawthorne, who covers Franklin County, and then Matt Slavic, who covers a lot of the counties to the north and east of Franklin and south. And then I cover personally a lot of the counties to the north and west of Franklin County. We are similar to the SBDC in the fact that we focus on assisting small businesses, but we can help pretty much anybody. We receive grant funding just like the SBDC, although our funding actually comes from the Department of Defense's Office of Small Business, but also the state of Ohio. And for us in the Central Ohio District, also from Ohio University. And all that means with all that funding is all of our services are free of charge to businesses that want to work with us and pursue government contracting. And that's all levels, federal, state, and local.
Great. And there are so you guys cover, what you say, 31 counties, but if you're outside of this region, the Central Ohio region, there's other APEX Accelerators around.
Yeah, Ohio University actually covers about 55 counties in Ohio, all the way from Cincinnati up to in the southwest, up to the very northeast corner in Ashtabula. There's also a center out of Youngstown State University and a center on Road State and a brand new center now at the University of Toledo. And then there is an independent APEX Accelerator for the very southernmost part. So every county in Ohio has an APEX Accelerator counselor to help you.
Okay. And wow, APEX Accelerators is like a super cool name. Anybody who's been on here or checks out the YouTube channel, this is a evolution of what they used to call the PTAC, which is a Procurement Technical Assistance Center. And same services, I think, but it's a rebranding to kind of help people think about, okay, I'm guessing I wasn't involved in the branding part of it.
Neither was
but I mean,
I.
if you're going to build this accelerator, I mean, you need to accelerate your business and different things like that. And to move away from, I think, the government-y sounding words.
Procurement Technical Assistance Center, what does that mean? Just like APEX Accelerator, what does that mean? But we can tell you what it means.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, thanks for being here, and thanks for everything that you do and your team does, because I know it makes a big difference. So let's kind of start out. When we talk about doing business with the government, I mean, what does that mean? I mean, when we say doing business with the government, and at the same time, what constitutes government? When we're thinking of that.
Boy, that's a big one. So
that'll take most of the hour.
Doing business with the government is just selling your goods and services to government agencies. What is the government? There's layers. I told Mike, it's like the layers of an onion. So you've got your federal government layer. So you're talking about Department of Defense or Department of Energy or NASA or the EPA. Then you've got your state layer. So you've got all your state governments like here in Ohio, but there's also state of Pennsylvania, Indiana, and so on, like ODOT, the Turnpike, those are all state agencies. And then you've got your local government level, and that's like counties, cities, school districts, libraries. And each layer of government's got its own way of doing things. And I like to tell my clients to think about it. If they are governed by their own legislative body, they're going to have their own way of doing things and their own way of buying goods and services. And that's why we're here to help you navigate that.
Absolutely. So we're gonna kind of start with just government, but a lot of the conversation, I think, when I talk to people about they want to do business with the government, they're thinking about, in their head, they're thinking about either a federal or a state kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I just want to explore before we get too far into this, this local government component, because I think that, for example, I'm sitting in Urbana, Ohio. So Urbana itself is a local government. There is a Champaign County, but that's really only part of it. If you're thinking about local governments, and you alluded to this before, you're talking about school districts, you're talking about other entities, townships, different things like that. These type of public entities, like you said, that have their own legislative authority, that that buy and sell, they buy services, products, different things like that, because they got to do business like everybody else. And kind of talk just a touch more, because you again alluded to this. When you're thinking about local governments, I mean, it's oftentimes everybody's kind of doing things different, especially in the smaller ones. But even, a Columbus is probably doing things somewhat different than they're doing in Cleveland, different things like that.
Yeah, so when you're looking at local government, some of your bigger entities like Franklin County, City of Columbus, you brought up Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, you've got Hamilton County and the city of Cincinnati. These are larger metropolitan areas. A lot of those bigger ones, they're going to have an online vendor registration system. So because of the volume that they buy, right? So if you want to go after opportunities to bid on, which we help you with, you're going to have to register as a vendor first thing in order to bid on those opportunities. Now, we also, some of the local government agencies, and I told Mike my story, I used to buy stuff for a really small local government agency. And I just, people just had to call my agency and say, hey, this is what I sell. Do you buy it? Who buys it for your agency? And then if it was something that I bought, I'd get that phone call. And what I did is I just kept an Excel spreadsheet of all the little businesses in my area that provided the goods or services that I wanted to buy. And then every time I had an opportunity, I shoot them an email. That's how I did it. But, pretty much everyone's going to have to get some competitive bids, but they could do it in a different way. And on those smaller local entities, you're going to have to make some phone calls and find out how they do it.
Right. And I think that's important, that to really understand that it's not a one shot, stop shop oftentimes, especially as you're looking at the smaller entities. But with all of these entities, there's a lot of opportunity.
Yes.
So, and I don't know if everybody thinks through those opportunities either. So, so we have a lot of opportunity. We have this. So, what's some of the value? Why would a small business be thinking about wanting to do business with the government?
Well, I always say it's a good way to expand your market footprint and balance off your commercial work. And I like to talk, my story on this is during COVID. We had a lot of small businesses who were losing their money because of the shutdown of businesses during COVID. But some of those businesses who had government contracts, it was those government contracts that kept them afloat. Because sometimes when commercial work is going down, government is still operating, and you still have that opportunity to sell and expand. So when one's going down, all your eggs aren't in one basket. And
Right.
diversify your market.
Right. Yeah. And I think, you have, especially if you got a good private sector, domestic business, but you have a product or service that could apply to the government, it's exactly what you said. I mean, it's a great way to increase your business, things of that nature. If you've got the capacity to do that, then it makes sense to have those conversations. Um, Before we go too much further, I do want to mention, if anyone has any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. Bruce and I will watch that, and we'll make sure that we ask Karen your questions. So how does somebody know if what they have, their product, their service, is something that would be a good thing to think about selling to the government? How do you know that?
Well, again, it depends. If it's a small local government, you're going to have to be making some phone calls. If it's a larger government agency, like the city of Columbus or the state of Ohio or the federal government, they have public portals. And oftentimes you can do a search and look, do they buy my widgets or do they buy my type of IT services? And we help you with that at APEX Accelerator. We help you figure out, especially in the federal government, there's a lot of good databases there. We help you with Ohio buys. We can look into the Columbus vendor database, just looking at, contracts that are awarded, contracts are coming up, trying to figure out, is there a space for you? And we'll help you walk through that to help you do that research.
Do you have any examples of a product? You don't have to name company names or anything, but of a product that maybe has been, that you're aware of, that's been sold to federal government, one of the federal agencies, and maybe something that's another type that's been sold to the state and maybe to the local, maybe even from your experience at the local level.
Sure. So I can talk about a client that I have in Columbus, just sold water bottles to the city of Columbus, bottled water.
Okay.
I have a client on the federal level that's a construction firm, just got a nice contract with the Ohio National Guard to do some renovation work on one of their facilities. I always like to tell folks, the government buys, when you look at it on the whole, everything from paper clips to spaceships. But they don't buy everything in every location. So let's say you're a street business and you've got a walk-in restaurant, it may not be a good space other than maybe if you have a meeting facility at your restaurant, you can reach out to your local people. Or if you have a daycare center, there's not a lot of work for daycare centers, or unless you're maybe near a base. So it isn't for everybody, but you would be surprised what the government buys.
Right, absolutely. At the federal level, what's the process at the federal level? So I got a business and I have a product that I think would fit, and maybe I've even done some research and I've seen, like, okay, let me pick out the biggest one. Department of Defense uses this or something like that. What would I need to do other than first get over to you guys? Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you want to sell to the federal government, you have to be a registered business in what's a website called SAM, System for Award Management. You have to be registered there as a vendor to be able to bid on and receive any federal contract. Now, some agencies have additional registrations, like Department of Defense. So let's say you're selling widgets and you've got this really great widget that the defense might use for a replacement part on some military equipment. There are some additional registrations you're going to have to do. There are some additional cybersecurity requirements that you're going to have to meet. Again, you're accessing Defense Department systems. They have to make sure you're secure. No one can hack through to get access to secret defense documents. So depending on the level of government is what you're going to have to be registered in, but your absolute first step is SAM.
If you're looking at the federal government, is there someplace you can go online to check out, here's this agency and they have out some request. Here's this agency.
Yes, that's also SAM.
Okay.
SAM.gov. So SAM.gov is a great website. Number one, you have to register as a vendor first, but you can also look on SAM.gov for contract opportunities. There's a link, and anyone can search. That's publicly searchable. Anyone can go there and search. and look for, you can type in, I like to go to the advanced search when you go to the website, and I teach people how to do this. And you can even create your SAM user account without registering your business. But, and we teach people how to do that as well. But anyone can look, and you can look at what's out for bid right now, and it changes daily.
Okay, great. And so you have that at the federal level, and you mentioned like the state. So does the state have something comparable, or maybe even?
Yes.
And you mentioned the city of Columbus, so they have something comparable too.
Yeah. Yes. Ohio has Ohio Buys.
Okay.
And again, you're going to have to register in order to bid, but you don't have to register to take a look. And you could go to the website. We teach people how to do that as well. We help them get registered if they want to do that. City of Columbus has their own. I have a list actually that I give to all our clients of all the local government websites where you can go and look for opportunities. Our clients, as part of being an APEX Accelerator client, you get access to our daily bid notices. So what we do is we program it in, and it searches thousands of websites across the country for opportunities for you to bid on that match keywords and various codes that the government uses to categorize things. And it looks for opportunities for you to bid on, and then sends it to you on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. And then we help you understand the government legalese and those government postings and figure out what registrations you might have to do to bid on it. And then there are also some certifications. Sometimes there are set-asides in government contracting only for businesses with certain certifications. And we help you figure that out as well.
So I want to talk about certifications in a minute, but
Sure.
when you use the term bid, I mean, what does that really mean?
So government has to get competitive bids. They
Okay.
have to get, so if they're posting like on sam.gov, and you're looking at that, any contract valued at over $25,000 has to be posted on SAM to receive competitive bids.
Okay.
And so you are looking at it and you're figuring out, okay, this is how much it was going to cost me to do this work and how much I'm going to bid on it so I can make a profit. And then they're going to look at it and have various evaluation factors on who's going to win the bid.
Okay, that's great. And I want to talk about profit in a second. But now I'm going to go back to the certification.
That's a very important thing. I'm glad you're going to bring that up.
That's right. So talk to me about certifications. You mentioned certifications. So just kind of jump into that. There is a question here. This being a woman-owned business give you an advantage on bidding government contracts, and I would expand that out to minority-owned businesses and different things of that nature. Talk about the certification versus just the purchasing.
Sure. So there are different ways that items go out for bid. Some items can go out for bid only for businesses who have certain certifications. WOSB, Woman-Owned Small Business, is one of the federal certifications. And 5% of all government contracts are set aside for woman-owned small businesses. That's a goal the federal government agencies have to make. Having any type of certification, whether it's a federal certification, a state, or a local, is no guarantee of work. What it does is help eliminate competition. You still have to be a really good business. And I love food, so I give people this analogy. You still have to make and offer a really good cupcake. Those certifications are the sprinkles. So you could have as many sprinkles on your cupcake as you want. If you've got a terrible tasting cupcake, they're not going to buy it.
Yeah, that's been my experience. But yeah, so I mean, so that's really important. So there's another question in here. Is there a minimum dollar amount for competitive bid requirements?
So under $10,000 on the federal level is they can buy it with a credit card. It doesn't necessarily have to get posted, but they still usually have to get a competitive quote think, I can't remember the dollar threshold off the top of my head in the federal government. Local level, it's gonna vary. To me, I always had to get a minimum on the local government level. I always try to get 3 quotes. That was our agency rule. We had to get 3 competitive quotes on pricing, and it was based on lowest price.
Right. Yeah, we work at, obviously I work at Columbus State Community College, and they have a whole purchasing process too. So they have to get, competitive bids. They have to put it out, and an individual has to put bids in. The Oh, you mentioned credit cards, and we talked about this the other day. So maybe even more so at the local level, you've got organizations using credit cards. So if you've got a business, you want to make sure that you're able to take credit cards, because there is some of this being done that way, right?
Oh yeah, when I was buying the stuff at local, I had a credit card. And if I was just looking like, I would make the bigger purchases, say, for our office supplies, but if all of a sudden we ran out of copy paper, I could just go ahead and buy a box of copy paper with my credit card.
Okay.
So, I just had a National Guard, they had an under $2,500 and they wanted someone that accepted credit cards. So,
Right. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's important. I don't think a lot of people think about that, so
Right. And the dollar amount is going to vary by agency and the
Right.
authority of the person with the card.
Okay. That's great. That's great. So let's talk about making sure your business is ready. So I know this is something important for you, because when we talked about it, could
That's
you get
why we
folks
rely
coming
on
to
you guys so much, Mike.
Yeah, no, you get people coming to you, and they've got to understand their business piece. So talk about that, and then we can talk about how you can leverage like your SBDC or other folks to assist you in getting prepped for that.
Absolutely. So there are certain things we like to see a business have in place. Like, do you have a good marketing plan? Do you have a good commercial base of business? Are your accounting standards up to snuff? So that, let's say a government agency wants to buy something for you and they go through an audit, they want to make sure they can read your books. Are there cybersecurity standards that you're going to have to meet? So many, do you understand the good rules of business? Do you have the necessary insurance, like liability insurance? Do you really need bonding for the type of business that you are when you're going after government work? Do you have workman's comp? If you're going on a government facility, you better have workman's comp. So, all those just business banking, those business basics, having that strong foundation, understanding your cash flow is vital. And I was telling Mike, I can give a horror story on this one, that I had a business that was going after government work from the VA for years. They were a product reseller, got their first contract. They took a verbal from their supplier that they could pay them after they got paid, right? Well, then the vendor changed their mind. They didn't have it in writing. They wanted the money up front. My business did not have the cash flow to buy the volume that the federal government wanted. Again, with government, oftentimes, more often than not, you're not going to get paid first. You have to deliver. You have to be able to buy the products, pay your people, pay your overhead, deliver it to the government, invoice them. If it's the federal government, they have 30 days by law from accepted invoice to pay you. If you don't have the cash flow or understand your cash flow, then you don't want to bid on something and not be able to perform. Or you don't want to bid on something and realize you're not making a profit. You got to know your numbers. And that's where I say my SBDCs are our best friend, because they help them understand that. Understand where you have to come in to make a decent profit. Now, the government's also going to say they don't want you to gouge them, and you got to think about it. They're spending taxpayer dollars, so it is highly competitive. They want you to make a profit, but they don't want you to make an astronomical profit. but understanding your numbers helps you figure out where you got to be to make a profit to keep your business afloat until you get paid.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point is the need to understand your numbers, the need to be able to determine if I'm going to bid X, what's involved in that? Is there, am I going to be able to make a profit? We mentioned profit earlier,
Yeah.
based on that. And I've seen people that have done business with the government. They wanted to get the bid and they lowball themselves, to be honest with you. And then so they
Why
got to
take on work where you're going
end
to
up
lose
losing money.
money?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's important. And I think that also gets to a question we've got here. So the question is, with fees associated with credit card processing, are business allowed to pass that fee along to the government agency? And I would assume that that would be part of their bid, right?
You're going to roll that into your pricing. You
Yeah,
can't do
that's
it
what
as
I'm
an
thinking.
add-on. You're going to roll that into your pricing.
Right, right. And to be able to do that, you
You
got
got
to
to know
what
your numbers.
pricing is. That's right. That's right. So yeah, you can do that. And then it's up to the agency or the municipality or whomever, whether they're going to take that. Do you see
Yeah.
situations where, let's say that you take it down to a lower level, maybe a local level, where they get multiple bids? Is it always the lowest cost bid, or is it do they have some flexibility there?
So, it depends on the bid, like if there's something called an RFP, where
Right.
it's more like a knowledge-based service and you're putting together a big proposal. I sat in on some local bid opportunities for that kind of stuff, where I was on a review committee. Typically you're going to review people's technical responses, how they say they're going to handle the work and their background and experience and do the work. Typically you're going to pick some finalists from that list of responses and then look at price. I've never seen price not be a factor, but it's not always the major factor.
Okay. Okay. Important. Can you talk a little bit about kind of subcontracting, different things of that nature? I mean, how would that work, and what kind of would be the process? Because we talked the other day about networking and getting to connect to these entities that may have a need for what you do. So you may not be selling directly to the government; you're selling to them, and they're selling it to the government.
Yeah. Yeah, case in point is like if you make a particular type of widget, now it could be a replacement part that the military needs, but it could also be going into a plane that Boeing makes. So it's figuring out where your market is, and oftentimes it can be both. And sometimes if you're small and you're just trying to get your foot in the door, being a subcontractor is a way to go. And that's working with a firm that's already getting government contracts and is in the space, and you can go out and do part of the work. Or let's say you're doing some research and they do like IT programming, but you can do IT staffing. There might be some contracts that you could work on together to go after. And attending, we do lots of events. We do the Ohio Matchmaker every year in Dayton. I just had an event in Mansfield, a month ago. We did an event with the National Guard. So you go to those events and you meet the government buyers, but if you're missing an opportunity if you're not also going to those events and meeting the other businesses there, because you could find some good partners by doing that and talking to each other.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's important, is this networking aspect of it. If you really want to do this, you need to connect, you need to do a lot of these types of things, so that you have the opportunities here. One of the questions here is, why would a business create a risk for themselves to lowball themselves when a contract may most likely be awarded the lowest bid? Well, number one, you don't know what the lowest bid is.
You do not.
So you're going to put in, I would think, you're going to put in what you think is going to work with you.
Right.
So that you can do that. And if you don't get the bid, you don't get the bid. But,
Yeah.
once you know your numbers, then I think working with y'all would make sense, and you can kind of help them craft what that would look like.
And one of the things I do also, like in the federal government and even state of Ohio and some of the local agencies, they do post contracts that have already been awarded. So we can go in and look at the dollar volume of contracts that have been awarded in the past. And once you crunch your numbers, here's another, for me, another opportunity to work at the SBDC is once you crunch your numbers and you're going to see that you're too high. All right, what are some ways that you can streamline your business process? Talk to the SBDC. How can you work and to be more competitive? Can you find different suppliers? Are there different cost savings within your business? And working with your advisor at the SBDC to help you streamline your business so you can be more price competitive is a good option, and I recommend people do.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That's a great point. Just because this is what your number is, doesn't mean you can't lower the cost.
Doesn't mean,
You can
and
sell more money, right?
SBDC is there with their genius consultants to help you figure out, let's take an analysis on how you're doing business and how maybe we can cut some costs for you and help streamline so you can be more competitive.
Right. And when we talk about genius consultants, I guess we're talking about Bruce. Is that what we're doing here? So no, Bruce does a great job. So we talked a little bit about certifications. So this question, does APEX assist with MBE accreditation? Is MBE a requirement for federal contracts?
MBE is not an accreditation for federal. So remember how I said you got different layers of government.
Right.
So every layer of government is going to have its own certification, and they don't always cross paths. So federal government certifications are WOSB, Woman-Owned Small Business. HubZone. HubZone is certification, it's location-based. Your business has to be located in a hub zone, and then 35% of your employees also must reside in a hub zone. Doesn't necessarily have to be the same area as your business, but their home address has to be a hub zone. There's a service-disabled veteran-owned small business in the federal government and veteran-owned small business certification in the federal government. The certification from minority-owned businesses is called 8A. We don't usually recommend you jump right into 8A, simply because it is the only certification in the government that has a time limit. All the others are, as long as you meet the qualifications of being a small business, either woman-owned or veteran-owned or the hub zone residency and business location requirements, you've got that certification, you just have to renew it. 8A, you're only in the program for 9 years. And I've seen way too many businesses get 8A certification and have no idea what they're doing, but they got that certification. And because they're only in it for 9 years, they waste the first few years trying to figure it out. And then, because you only have that 9-year limit, you don't want to waste any minute of those 9 years. So if I've got a minority-owned business that's thinking of 8A, I say, let's get your feet wet in government contracting first, either as a prime or as a subcontractor, help you understand the lay of the land on your market. Then let's go after the 8A, find some good partners for you with that program. Now, the state of Ohio has MBE and EDGE certifications that have set-asides. There was a law passed a year or so ago that local governments have to accept MBE certification at the state level and cross-certify you. But different levels of government have their own certifications. Some of them have a small business certification. I know the city of Cleveland has an LGBTQ certification. And again, it's those layers and they aren't always the same. So you can't expect one to cross over. The federal government isn't going to care about your EDGE certification. It doesn't matter to them.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And that's important. And again, APEX can help you kind of organize.
We
and
help
figure
you
out.
navigate. Yeah. And I always say, don't go after every certification in the book. Only go after the certifications that are going to help you. So figure it out. Figure out if it's a market for you first. Let's take a look at that market. Do they buy what you have to sell? Can you be competitive? Do that first. Then if it's a good market for you, then let's look at getting those sprinkles and getting those certifications.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we're talking about certifications you may have, stuff that you have, areas that you focus in, you know, government, one of the things that they look at is they're looking at these capability statements. And crafting a capability statement in a lot of ways becomes your marketing tool, because buyers look at this and they know what that is. This is what they're used to. Now you can create super cool brochures and you can do all of this kind of stuff. That's great. But if you don't, you could have the best brochure, but if you don't have the capability statement, you're going to have a problem. So can you talk about capability statements a little bit?
Sure. So capability statement's a government preferred way for you to market your business. It's going to talk about your business. I've got a template I go over with my clients. It's going to talk about what you do, why, and it's called the core competency section. That's what you do. Then you're going to have a differentiator section. That's why you do it better than everybody else. Why should that government agency buy it from you? Again, they're risk averse because they're spending taxpayer money. So they want to know if they're going to offer this work to a new business, why should they give it to you? That's your chance to explain that. Another place they're going to look at is your past performance. And there's a past performance section in a capability statement where they want to see examples of you doing the work that they're asking you to do. And then you're going to want to put a section in there with all the codes that that particular agency cares about. Like if you're going after the federal government and you don't have your cage code and they use, I remember I told you there are some codes that the government uses to identify the type of business that you are. The federal government uses NAICS codes, NAICS codes. You're going to want to list those because that helps them match up with opportunities. Do you have federal certifications that they care about? Do you have your contact information on there? Someone's name, email address, and phone number. We also recommend having this information when you're government ready on your website. I'm sorry, I work from home and my cat. Sorry. Yeah, he almost made an appearance. You know, put your website on there, cross promote your capabilities statement on your corporate website. And again, your SAM registration, your cage code, your NAICS codes, if you're marketing yourself to the state of Ohio, they don't use that stuff. So you're going to have to, you know, if you're marketing yourself to the state of Ohio agency, we're going to talk about different codes and registrations that you're going to have to list and different certifications that you might have. It's a living, breathing document, just like your business plan needs to be a living, breathing document. So does your capability statement. And we recommend tailoring it to who you're marketing to. Kind of like your resume and brochure rolled into one.
Yeah, no, that's a great point where I've seen people come in. This is my capability statement. Okay. Who are you selling to? Well, we want more federal work, but we're also doing that state. We're doing this. But like you said, maybe it's different capability statement with tweaking. This makes more sense for the state. This makes more sense for this agency, things of that nature.
Yeah, and your past performance that you list out, I mean, it can be commercial work. If you're going, it could be state work, local, federal, wherever you're showing the experience doing, proving you say what you say you can do. Like I could go to you and say, hey, I'm a great brain surgeon. Let me do your surgery. You know, are you going to let me do it? No. You know, you want to make sure you've got you've got the knowledge, expertise, and skill level to perform on the work. And they look at that capability statement to see that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's important. And we talked a little bit about this. You mentioned the Ohio Matchmaker, which is a big matchmaker event that's held in Dayton down at Wright State, typically.
Yes.
So for those who haven't been to these types of things, obviously that's a huge one, but there's, you know, local governments oftentimes will have something. ODOT, I hear, has stuff a lot of time. I get that kind of stuff. So what do you expect to see at these types of things, and how could you prepare yourself to be successful?
So do your research. So, you know, like at the big matchmaker in Dayton, tons of agencies, all levels of government, federal, state, and local. You usually have to register that with the right codes, the NAICS codes. You're going to research. They'll post on there who's going to be there. Research that agency. If you think it's a good fit, tailor a capability statement for that agency. Prepare a good elevator pitch to talk to them about why doing business with you is the best decision they could ever make. Because you're so good at what you can do, you do it well, you deliver on time, you save them money, whatever it is your skill set or product does that will make it a good deal for that government agency. And don't go up to them and say, so what do you buy? Know what they buy and do that research. Go to the agency's website.
Yeah.
Oh, I can offer whatever the government needs. They don't want to hear that because that's saying that you don't know anything.
Right. Right.
Offer what you're good at. Offer what you're good at.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Ohio matchmaker, I don't know exactly when it is, but typically it's in May.
Yeah, it'll be in May. I
April,
don't know the
May.
dates off the top of my head. It's usually the middle of May. I know it's been scheduled already for next year.
Yeah.
Don't know who all is going to be there, but APEX Accelerator clients get notified. I believe SBDC clients get notified too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we definitely sent that out, and APEX sends it out. You have other organizations, the Minority Business Assistance Center at the Urban League in Central Ohio. They send it out. And also I want to give them a shout out too, because when you're talking about certifications, especially, state certifications, EDGE certification, MBE certifications, things of that nature, the Minority Business Assistance Center, that's their charge to assist with.
That is what they've been asked to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know sometimes it can be kind of daunting that, again, you're trying to figure out all of these letter organizations, and you guys are smart enough to get away from that. But, it's one of those where, just connect into one of the organizations. So you can contact us and we'll give you direct to where to go. I mean, we'll help you where we can help you. We'll get you our partner to help you. APEX does the same thing. MBAC does the same thing.
Yeah, we all play nice together.
Yeah, because we want to get you to where it makes the most sense for you to be successful, and we don't want you running around. If we can certainly help it.
Time is money.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So I want to talk about, we got a little time left, being properly capitalized or funded. So you're going to say you want to get a contract, you get a contract at any level. And what could you expect, especially as it relates to getting paid?
Well, so getting paid, different layers of government have different ways of doing that too. So like the federal government, depending on the agency, they have online invoicing systems. Military has a system called WAF, more alphabet soup there. There's a National Park System has a Department of Treasury invoicing system. State of Ohio, depending, they have different ways. So, and different times now, the federal government, it's 30 days from accepted invoice. So depending on their invoicing system, accepted invoice means you've delivered on what you said you're going to deliver. You submit the invoice. The government agency reads your invoice and double checks. Yes, we got everything they said they were going to do. And then they accept that invoice. So it's not 30 days from issuance of invoice. It's 30 days from accepting invoice. Then by law, they have 30 days to pay you, or they have to start paying you interest. Oftentimes they can pay you even sooner. You can offer the government early payment discount terms. They like seeing that sometimes. But the key is making sure, especially in the federal government, you're invoicing them properly. I had a poor client that was mailing their invoices that didn't read their contract, that they had to use the online invoicing system. It was getting lost in the shuffle. When you think the federal government buys billions of dollars worth of goods and services every year, their paper invoices were just going into no man's land, and they wondered why they had been waiting over a year to get paid. Well, they didn't read their contract on the proper way to invoice.
Mhm.
So we helped them invoice and they got paid.
Yeah.
So you gotta read your contract on how you're supposed to invoice them. Read all that government legalese that's in those solicitation notices and contracts you receive from the government. Make sure you understand it and invoice them correctly.
Interestingly, we had different partners we've worked with in the past, and we've paid them, we've contracted them to do some work with us, clients, and they would bill us every month or something like that. But there were certain ones of these that literally every month, this accepted invoice piece, every month they would do it different and they wouldn't do it correctly. So here it is, they send it. We got to get back with them. We got to work to get this done. We can't pay them. We can't do anything until it's right. So
Read
we
your
get it right.
contract.
We get it right for this month, and we go. Here comes next month, and it's wrong again, or it's wrong in a different one. So figure out how you're going to do this to get paid in the quickest manner possible. Obviously, there's an advantage if you can get stuff that's they're going to pay you on a credit card. They're going to pay up front, but most of them is going to be you're going to bill after the service is provided or products or something like that. And there's going to be a window there. So it's important for you to be properly capitalized so you can handle that. So you may get a contract that you're going to provide services or a product or something of that nature. You have to get it, make it, deliver it, all of that, which kind of costs you money. And then here you are, you're going to need to wait to get paid. Even if it's just 30 days, it's 30 days.
Right.
So you're not getting it up front. So you've got to make sure that you've got either enough funds back that you can handle that. And you've got to factor that in from a cash flow perspective, or you've got to maybe have a line of credit or something else that you can pay everybody while you're waiting to get paid.
Correct. And one of the things I just thought of when you're talking about that, if you're selling a product, you have to buy the product, you have to ship the product. If you're making it, you're making it. But here's the other thing. What if during shipment, the product comes damaged or they're still expecting that quantity? So are you going to have the cash flow for any overages you're going to be on the hook for that you might have to ship because part of your shipment got lost or got damaged in shipment? It's just all sorts of things you've got to think about and worrying about your cash flow and your pricing when you're doing this kind of thing. Because government, if you've got a contract to provide that, you're providing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to start to wrap up here. I've got one more question, and I think this is a great question. So the question specifically, does that mean that new companies can't do business with the government as they are new and don't have past experience? So talk about, okay, I'm new, but I've got a plan, I got a product, I got a service or whatever. How do I go from kind of today where I'm new to being able to work with the government and go from there and build my business?
Yeah, a federal government, they really want to see some kind of past performance typically. The only difference there, I would say, like if you're, a caveat there is like if you're developing an innovative technology. So you've got this brilliant idea of this innovative product or technology that's never been seen before. Sometimes there are certain grants and things that the government might still want to talk to you if that innovative technology might have an opportunity to solve a problem they have that they don't have a solution for yet. But typically, if you've never sold a thing and so you don't have past performance, I'd say work on developing your commercial market first, or possibly being a subcontractor to develop that cash flow. Do you know somebody in the business that you could work under so you could develop that past performance? Or looking sometimes, if you've got the cash flow to do it, maybe a local government agency might be a little more willing to take a shot. I've seen people have some luck on Ohio Buys, when they haven't done stuff, especially like the water, like my client that sold water bottles, had never sold water bottles before, but he found a source, he won the bid, and he delivered his water bottles and actually made a little bit of profit. But we usually recommend going after work that you have the experience in doing. And if it's something you did as an employee and you have particular expertise, you can list that. Let's say you've got really high level experience in IT, or you did this kind of work for somebody else, you can talk about it. And they might look at,
Yeah.
especially if it's a smaller, they're more willing to take risks on smaller volume. But I do recommend trying to get some commercial or subcontracting work as to showing you're a stable company to do work with. Again, they're spending taxpayer dollars. They don't want to get in the evening news for wasting it.
Right, right. And I mean, just think of it, somebody's signing off on this, and somebody's getting somebody to sign off on this. And if
Yeah.
it goes south, it can come back on them individually.
Yeah.
And nobody wants that.
And
So,
we've
we
all
want to be
seen
more
stories in the news about that too, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So if you do have a new business, if this is something that you're interested in, kind of working with the government, selling with the government, things like that, and you have a new business, come in, talk to us. You can call Karen and her team. Come in and just say, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing, so we can help you get off on the right foot, so that
Okay.
you're prepared and ready, and that, hey, I need to get a plan, and I need to do this, and different things like that. And then you had a great point that there may be past experience that you can use, that may not be from a business that you've operated. So definitely take a look at that for sure, for sure. So great, Karen. Where can people find you or find your team? You mentioned a couple of folks in terms of where they were.
Yep. So if you are interested in working with us, guess what? You have to register. But our website is apex.ohio.edu. When you register, they ask you put in your business address, and then it comes to the client, the counselor that is covering your county. And
Okay.
that counselor will reach out to you and get initial appointment and a conversation started on helping you do business with the government.
Right. So Bruce has put this in here. It's apex.ohio.edu.
And that is us here for most of the state. Yeah.
Right. So great. Yeah, check that out. Obviously, if you're interested in connecting with us at the SBDC, our website is sbdccolumbus.com, and you can contact us at SBDC. It will be sbdc@cscc.edu, and you'll get the opportunity to talk to future guest Teresa Green, and she can lay out for you how you can work your way through the process and how we can be of assistance to you. So with that, Karen, thank you for being here. This has been great. Really appreciate your information and your knowledge. And this has been a great session. We've had a lot of great questions, a lot of great interaction. Also know that this will be on our YouTube channel probably tomorrow, maybe the next day, but likely tomorrow. So you can go back and check us out, and anything you might have missed, or you can kind of go peruse the different sections that might be applicable to you. So go ahead and do that. And we are excited to have been able to offer this to you. Hopefully it's been of help to you in terms of increasing your business. Next month, on the fourth Thursday of the month, we will be talking about chambers of commerce and how you can interact and get the best value from your local chamber of commerce. So we will be doing that. So I look forward to seeing everyone there. And with that, we will go ahead and adjourn. And I hope you all have a great day. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.